I am fresh off a plane, or not that fresh. Could do with a shower, that's for sure. But we have just come back from Australia. Why? I was down there for the Aussie Open down in Melbourne, which we reported on throughout the end of last week and the weekend. And in the last 48 hours, 24 hours in fact, I was in Sydney. Why? Big announcement from Emirates with regards to their investments in Australia at the moment. And whilst many of you will think, oh, it must be flights. Oh, it's probably something to do with Qantas or extra flights in and out. No. It's to do with their hospitality investments. Remember Wolgan Valley? It was Emirates' first ever resort. It was identified in 2005 by President Sir Tim Clark. It was, building started in 2006. It was opened in 2009. When it opened, it was the most expensive and the most exclusive resort in Australia. It was also a world first as well. It was the first ever net carbon zero venue in the world, giving back to the community from which it hails. Well, the Emirates-owned Wolgan Valley will be reborn. This after a $50 million refurbishment. It's going to open later on this year in partnership with Marriott International Hotels as the world first Ritz-Carlton Lodge. Build cost of $150 million, opened back in 2009, as I mentioned. The former One&Only Blue Mountains resort has sat idle since 2023. Why? Floods, rains, bushfires, landslides, which has prevented access to and from the resort. The resort has been maintained by Emirates throughout. There has been a maintenance team there, but the announcement yesterday at the Sydney Opera House was made by Emirates Divisional Vice President, Australasia, Barry Brown. He was sat alongside Rajeev Menon of Marriott International Hotels, and I had the honour and the privilege of being there at the stunning Sydney Opera House with the backdrop of the Sydney Harbour to speak to Barry Brown about the announcement. And I started by asking Barry, look, Emirates do aviation really well. The resorts thing, obviously this is something that you've been involved in for quite some time. But the refurbishment and the reinvestment into the Wolgan Valley, why is that so significant, and what's it mean? What message does it send to the wider hospitality and travel industry?
Well, we've been flying to Australia for 30 years now, so our investment in Australia is not only aviation, but it's to our partners as well. And we identified what we can give back to the Australian people apart from air services. And we decided to build a resort there back in 2006, completed it in 2009. It's been operating fantastically until the floods of 2023 washed half the road into the valley. So it's been closed for the last 3 years. And now we want to reinvigorate it. We want to make a big investment in it. We've spent $150 million building the resort, and we're putting another $50 million into it to reinvigorate it. But we want to take it to another level. And that's why we found a partner with Marriott Bonvoy in their Ritz-Carlton brand, because they have an eye for detail like we do.
You've also got an eye for aviation. That's what Emirates is renowned for. A lot of people will look at this and go, is this as much about the community as it is about reinvigorating and putting the best hotel in Australia back on the map? Because it seems to be quite a sort of personal voyage for Emirates, for Sir Tim, and for everyone involved to give back to the community.
It's very much about the community. It's also about the environment and the culture and the indigenous nature of what I call the bush in Australia is where we selected the Wolgan Valley. So a lot of people think of Emirates and I think, I've seen you at the tennis, I've seen you at the races, I've seen you at all these places, but we give a lot more than just sports. We do the arts. In this iconic opera house here, we have the Sydney Symphony Orchestra, which is a long-standing partner of ours. And it's about giving back to the community, as you mentioned. So we've reinvested there. It's a great Australian experience. We bring in international guests. We bring in domestic visitors as well. And we show them the real Australiana. There's a cottage out there which was built in 1828. We've just refurbished that. It's an immersive cottage, and it shows you people weren't very tall back in those days. I had to duck my head going into the cottage yesterday, and it's interactive. So you walk in, there's a video that plays, there's a recording that plays. So it's giving people a taste of the old, but we're also got Ritz-Carlton giving you the luxury experience with the new.
Commercial is key for any business the world over, and I'm also done Emirates as well. And yet, to me, and having been down to the Aussie Open over the last couple of days, great 5-year deal taking you up to 2029 with the Australian Open. But the Force for Good campaign, which you're now doing with the Australian Tennis Federation, it seems that wherever you fly to, there's a lot more focus on community to the areas that you service. Is that a fair point to make?
Very much so, very much so. And the community in the Wolgan Valley area is unique, and we brought them along for a journey with us. When we closed the resort, they had to close the local butcher shop. We were buying local produce. They had to close the local vegetable dealers. And, we really hurt the community. So the community got behind us as well because we've helped them. Now they're helping us try and get the road reopened.
Let's turn our attention, if we just can, to the wider market. Australasia is such an important market to Emirates. I mean, all the markets that you serve are important to the airline. Strikes me, though, operations since 1996, the number of flights, the number of passengers you've catered for. Can you quantify how important the Australasia market is for the airline?
Yes, we represent 15% of the revenue for Emirates, so we're a very important cog in a very big wheel. And as you mentioned, 1996 we started, so it's a very, very important market for us. We export a lot of Australians around the world, but we bring in a lot of visitors as well.
And to that, a lot of people think Emirates, they'll think travel, they'll think tourism. Let's talk about the other T, trade, if we can. How important is the cargo market, the trade market, with Emirates between, of course, the two hemispheres?
We just relaunched services into Adelaide last December with an A350 brand new aircraft. It was the first one in our fleet, the 900. We committed it to Adelaide 5 years ago in our planning, and we honoured that finally because, as you know, manufacturers are finding it very difficult to build new aircraft. So we got that in there, and I was talking to the Premier of South Australia after our first flight, and I said, 15 tonnes of local meat produce we flew to Toronto on last night's flight. So trade is very important for us. We have a commercial economic policy between Australia and the UAE, and we're turning that now into a strategic economic partnership. So the trade between the two countries, if you like, Dubai is a funnel not only for passengers, but for trade throughout the world. And it's a real hub for us.
Yeah, that separate agreement coming into effect in October of last. Is it still too early to see the benefits, the results of that, or already starting?
It's already starting to pay dividends. We exported, I think, 150 tonnes of lovely, what I call South Australian water, which is the lovely Penfolds and the beverages, to India. So that has really helped us, and it's a great partnership we have with the UAE.
Just finally, listen, I know we've got to get on to things, but very quickly, I was talking to your colleagues down in Melbourne at the Aussie Open a little earlier on this week. They were talking about that last year, 2025, was all about convenience. It was getting more and more of the Australasian passengers onto all classes of the plane, the 4 classes that are now serviced now. What's 2026 hold for travellers to and from Australasia with Emirates?
I think it's still about delivering on the product that people expect from us. We can't get enough new aircraft being built by the manufacturers due to supply chain. So we've had to refresh all of our brand, and we've now got premium economy operating in all flights out of Australia now, in all cities from Australia, which is great. And it's like a magnet. People love our premium economy. They love the Emirates service, they love our food, they love our in-flight entertainment, and they love our network.
Barry Brown there. He's the Divisional Vice President for Australasia. For Emirates, he was sitting in for Sir Tim Clark, the President of Emirates Airline, who was meant to be making that announcement because it's a project very personal and close to him. But unfortunately, Sir Tim was unwell. But Barry was on hand to make that announcement down at the Sydney Opera House yesterday.